My husband is cheating on me with a green-haired anime girl. What am I supposed to do here? My 28-year-old husband and I have a generally good relationship. I am a stay-at-home mom for our 2 infant children, a boy and a girl, and we have been together for 10 years. My husband has always been a nerd, hangs around nerds, etc., has always been into anime, video games, etc., and he is a software engineer and is an overall good father and husband. I'm not into the same stuff, but I don't mind watching stuff occasionally with him and letting him engage in his hobbies, and I would say our relationship is good overall. Anyway, the last 6 months or so I've noticed our relatively healthy sex dating life has been going down, and I've tried to remedy it by being more kinky in the bedroom, asking him what he likes, even offering to do a few things we had not done before, but he said it was fine, and there was nothing more I could really do because he enjoys it. I thought, okay, maybe this distance is not because of sex, but because I haven't been spending enough time with him, so I even offered to go to an anime convention with him and the kids, which he said no antagonist. Here, you do not have to do that for me. I figure, okay, he's been under a lot of stress lately. Maybe I just need to endure this. Recently, he has begun to be more suspicious, distant with his phone and his personal computer, and I am not a dumb woman. I was not born yesterday. I was beginning to suspect a possible affair, and while I am not proud of it, I went snooping through his phone, files, and computer. I found a folder labeled My Love and opened it to see thousands of pictures of this seductive-looking green-haired anime chick with purple eyes and big boobs, sometimes long hair, sometimes short in lots of lustful poses. Though I should mention all of them were clothed, and albeit sometimes what I would consider scantily but not even softcore stuff, like her being naked and stuff just like bikinis. I looked up a folder named Commissions, and I find what looks to be an anime version of my husband going on dates and shit with her and even marrying her. Again, nothing sexual, just all romantic sappy shit. On his phone, I found this application called Discord and looked through his direct messages and find this thousands of lines conversation between him and the same anime girl profile picture where he is flirty and romantic with her, but still nothing sexual. I flipped out at first thinking maybe this was some real woman using the profile pic or something and doing roleplay with him. But it is actually just an artificial intelligence bot apparently. I'm not new, so I know people will ask what anime or game she is from. I look up the name of the character based on some file names, and she is a girl from this popular Japanese RPG thing called Trails of Cold Steel and Trails of Reverie there that solves your sick curiosity. Her name is Moose Egret, and she's like some kind of genius magical girl sniper or something, I don't know. Do men like that kind of woman? What the heck am I supposed to do about this though? He's, emotionally I guess, since there are no sexual pictures or content at all, cheating on me with some 2D anime girl? Has anyone on the planet gone through this stuff? I don't even know how to approach him about this. I would ask my girlfriends, but I think they would laugh at me for losing my man to a freaking anime girl. I'm so sorry you are going through this. It must be incredibly tough to deal with. It seems like your husband is escaping into a fantasy world, which is causing him to neglect his responsibilities and your relationship. Emotional infidelity, even with a fictional character, is still a breach of trust. It would be a good idea to confront him directly, expressing your feelings and demanding honesty about why he's chosen to escape into this fantasy. Couples therapy might be a good option to address the underlying issues and rebuild your relationship. Remember, it's not about competing with a fantasy, but understanding and addressing the real issues at hand. Am I the antagonist for kicking out my messy, rude, and disrespectful flatmate after she tried to make us homeless? Myself, 19 years old. My friend Lewis, 19 years old, and our other flatmate Jennifer, 19 years old, moved into a flat together in September of 2023, at the start of all of our second year of university. Once we lived together, it became clear Jennifer never cooked, and when she did, she left her dirty dishes around the house, and the only time they would get washed is if myself or Lewis washed them. Both our living room and hallway were full of takeaway bags, and Lewis and I were constantly cleaning up after her. Next, she told us that she had been smoking in her room for the duration of our tenancy, which was against the singular rule we had as a flat. Adding to the stench of cigarettes, the odor of rotten food constantly leaked from her room. We did repeatedly attempt to bring this up with her, but every time she would be aggressive and confrontational, and eventually we gave up. By this point, we were aware that university was not going well for her, and by Christmas, we were aware that she was more than likely dropping out. Therefore, we needed a new flat and new flatmates. On a personal note, I was told by Lewis that in private she had been ruthlessly criticizing me, saying that I faked the very serious eating disorder I had throughout high school and calling me an attention seeker, as well as other smaller criticisms. After this, my friendship with her, at least for me, was over. However, as we were in the same fairly large group of friends, I maintained a civil attitude for the sake of the rest of my friends. Another thing that was important to note is Jennifer started the year off with a fairly large sum of money, and by Christmas, she had burnt through her entire savings and was well in her overdraft. So her paying the rent and bills was a serious concern for both myself and Lewis. Myself, Lewis, Terry, and Nadine, our new flatmates, mentioned to Jennifer that we would eventually be moving out, as she would be leaving to go home, and asked her when she would be thinking of moving out, suggesting a date approximately 3 months in the future. She blew up, calling us awful people, accusing us of kicking her out of her home, among other things. She then came into my room the next morning telling us she wanted to hand in 28 days' notice that day and leave. After telling her that would make us homeless, she said, "That's your problem." She then got drunk, screamed, and cried at us, saying we were her best friends, and she was angry we didn't defend her from Nadine and Terry, who were being kind and reasonable with her, and fully emotionally blackmailing us for an apology. After this, she decided she was going home. She left without telling us and emailed the estate agent to end the contract. After realizing she could not end it alone, she ordered us to end it. We said we would not end the contract until we had somewhere to live, because we did not have the option to go home as it was midway through term. She called us selfish, blocked us on everything, and now we have to email her if we need anything. Jennifer sounds like a nightmare to live with. Her inability to manage finances and refusal to communicate like an adult are concerning. Good riddance to Jennifer. Find new flatmates for a peaceful living environment. Entering 28 days notice unilaterally is not reasonable. She created the chaos, and chaos is hers to carry. Am I the antagonist for telling my sister it was stupid to give her BF $1,500 for a car? Yesterday I found out my 18 years old sister, 17 years old, recently gave her boyfriend, 16 years old, $1,500 to help him pay for a car. For some context, my grandfather passed away a few years ago, and me and my family were lucky enough to come into some money at the start of this year after the will was settled. Me and my two sisters all got $10,000 and my mom got $20,000. This was a huge deal for us because we were not doing good at all financially previous to the money, and it helped us out so much. My sister and her boyfriend have been dating for 5 months, and he's been wanting a car for a while. I knew about this and found out he had bought a car for around $2,000 last month from Facebook Marketplace that he didn't do any research on or check before buying, so the car has many issues that are going to cost a few thousand more to fix. I had no idea my sister helped pay for it, and the only reason I found out was because we were shopping yesterday, and she wanted to buy something but offhandedly said she couldn't afford it. I asked her why, considering we had money, and she let slip that she had given her boyfriend some money for the car. I asked how much and she refused to tell me, but after some pestering, she told me $1,500. I think it's also important to note that he's not paying her back or anything, so she gave it to him for free. When she told me, I genuinely had to stop and stare for a couple minutes to process what she had said because I could not believe it. I asked her why on earth she thought that was a good idea, and she said that he needed it and she doesn't regret it. I got mad and told her that it was a very stupid decision to do that, and she should never do something like that again, considering she essentially bought him a car when she doesn't even have one herself and needs one to get her hours up for her provisionals. We live in Australia. She got mad at me and said this is why I didn't want to tell you. My mom knows she gave him money but doesn't know how much. I'm thinking she thinks it's probably like $200 or something. She also plans on giving him more to fix it. She only has $4,000 left out of the $10,000 she was given. I don't know if I should have been less harsh, and I do feel kind of bad because I can understand that she loves him and probably thought she was being kind and it wasn't a big deal. Your mom should have put the money in a trust for college or until a certain age. Your sister shouldn't be using the money to buy things for her boyfriend instead of things she needs. And you should have expressed your concerns in a better way. It's all around a regrettable situation. How to handle fiancé dissatisfied with engagement ring. I proposed during a photo shoot in Japan after 11 years together. Ahead of time, she gave me guidance saying to get a 1-carat lab diamond and just keep it simple. You know I like simple. Don't spend more than $3,000 because that's a vacation. She even showed rings online and said any of these would work, one of which was basically what I bought her. I went to 1.5-carat oval with simple band for $3,800 US. She was extremely happy and made an Instagram post using the photos. I made a comment about how large and nice someone's ring was that liked her post, and she immediately looked at that person's ring, then deleted the photo that included her own ring and expressed insecurities about the ring. She didn't say she wanted to break off the engagement or anything, but just didn't want to include a photo of the ring online. She also went on to say, "Why didn't you go above and beyond? We've been together 11 years and this is the ring I get? This ring is boring and plain, which is everything I'm not. I was just being modest when I told you what I want and thought that if I told you I didn't want, you would propose faster because it's already been 11 years. I basically told her she gave me clear instructions and I followed them, and then went to bed. She soon followed and apologized, and after a few words of encouragement, she restored that photo and sent the photo to her co-workers that requested it. A few days pass and she's perfectly happy. This morning I wake up and she's looking at other rings online saying, "The band is so skinny. The 2-carat of the same ring was on sale for $500 more. Why didn't they offer that to you?" I said, "I don't know, but if it bothers you that much, we can exchange it for a 2-carat and then the ring is still consistent with your existing photos." At this point, I'm just angry myself, so I lash out and tell her to take a look at herself because she looks repulsive right now. Her response is, then let's break up if I'm repulsive. At this point, I'm just not talking to her. She said something about not going to Osaka Castle, and I ignored her, which pissed her off, and she just told me to make my own way back to Tokyo if I'm not going to talk to her. The truth is, she'll apologize for this very soon and say she doesn't mean it. She's insecure and hot-headed, and she says things she doesn't even mean in her episodes. She's continuously gotten better at controlling her anger, and these episodes over my time with her, so it's not like she doesn't recognize she has an issue. But she still gets like this sometimes. Usually it is surrounding her weight. She needs constant validation from me that her weight is under control, she can afford to eat a meal, and she looks good. Then she'll suddenly start feeling insecure about her weight and lashes out at me, sometimes saying I keep telling her it's okay to eat, just to make it easier on myself while she gets fat. Honestly, the way she handled the proposal situation seems really toxic and manipulative. It's been 11 years into the relationship, and she set you up to fail a shit test game. Maybe going back to Tokyo to call her bluff and regain self-respect is a good idea. It sounds like she may have some pent-up resentment and insecurities about the proposal, so it's worth considering if you want to marry someone with poor communication and emotional regulation. Am I the antagonist for taking someone's lunch home with me? I am posting for the first time ever, but this happened to me, and I have never talked about it with anyone. To start, I work for a decent-sized company, and for a gift one year, we received lunchboxes with our company logo on them. Every lunchbox was exactly the same, in shades of our company's colors. Well, one day I had a very rough day, one of the worst. I was also late to leaving, so I rushed to grab my coat and lunch and leave. I take the 15-20 minute walk out of the building and to the parking garage and start my 45-minute drive home. Towards the end of my drive, I realized that I had grabbed the wrong lunchbox. At this point, I was almost home and didn't even know whose lunch this was. By the time I got home from work, it was 8:30 p.m., and I was too exhausted to drive back to work to get my lunch and drop this one off. It was the middle of winter, and I was coming back at 7 a.m. for my next shift, so I decided to just leave the other person's lunchbox in my car. I ended up getting ready for bed and fell asleep, when all of a sudden at 11 p.m., I get woken up from a phone call from work. I answered it, and the person ended up tracking me down, figured out I was the one to take her lunch, and started yelling at me. I apologized and said I was sorry, and that I would bring her food back in the morning, and that I can Venmo her some money so she can buy lunch while she is there. She started to raise her voice and tell me that I need to be more responsible, and that I need to drive back to work and drop off her lunchbox immediately. I told her I live 45 minutes away, and that I will be back first thing in the morning. She then tells me that her medications are in her lunchbox and she needs them, and that if she doesn't take them, she will end up in the emergency room. I said that I didn't hear pills when shaking it, and asked if she wanted me to look to make sure they were in there. She said not to look inside, and she doesn't know where my hands have been. I didn't tell her, but I thought it was my lunchbox during the drive, so opened it up to have a snack, and then realized it wasn't mine. When I opened it up, it was just a takeout box. I assured her that I heard no medication, so she should check her bags or her car, because I do not have her meds. She kept raising her voice, and so I apologized, and eventually we hung up, and we texted for a little, saying she will double-check her car. I returned it early the next morning to the fridge, and we haven't talked since, still not sure who this person even was, and if they found their pills. Am I the a-hole for not driving back to work to bring her the lunchbox? This was entirely foreseeable, and therefore 100% the company's fault for getting everyone matching lunchboxes. She's lying about the pills because she wanted her lunchbox. Write your name on yours or something to show that you've learned from this, but you did all that is expected. It was a mistake, and this person was out of line to think you would drive all the way back to return it. Good job. Am I the antagonist for telling my many half-siblings that I am not signing up to be responsible for everyone? The title might lead to some confusion, so I'll try to make this clear. I, 25-year-old male, am the oldest of my father, aka sperm donor's many children that he's had throughout the last 25 years. As of right now, I am the oldest and have been known as the oldest for the last 25 years. My mom was married to him when she found out he was cheating. She kicked him to the curb during her pregnancy with me, and right after I was born, it was announced he was expecting baby number 2 with his affair partner, and one of my half-siblings was born a little while before my first birthday. I did not grow up having a relationship with any of these children because my mom expected more than photo ops from my father. She expected him to be a parent and help pay for what I needed, but he didn't want that. None of the other mothers of his kids chased him, so I was cut off by him, and he floated around, never really working and being in and out of the lives of his other children. I did meet some of my half-siblings when I was a teenager, and I wasn't really interested in forming a relationship like they were. It was weird because the ones who reached out were not much younger than me, but expected me to take over as sort of the head of the family and the male role model. When I turned 20, a bunch more of them became known to me. 12 new, which made for 15 known at that point. A lot of them were kids, so I didn't want to be a jerk and reject them harshly, so I spoke to their mothers and told them I was not going to be this amazing big brother their kids wanted. A couple of years ago, I was like, you know what, fine, and I joined a group chat with the siblings over the age of 13. I'm not very active, but I figure it would be good to at least know about these people so nothing ever happens there. It was that worrying for me that when I met my fiancé, we actually did talk to her parents and get a DNA test done because I have so many half-siblings out in the world that it's scary. Last week there was a situation with my half-siblings that became a little explosive. They were asking why I hadn't talked about my wedding with them. The half closest in age to me found out through social media. And it became a big deal that they were not going to be invited, and then it turned into "you're the oldest. You should be stepping up and acting as the head of the family and making sure you are there for all half-siblings we have or find in the future." I told them that was not happening and I'm not signing up to be responsible for everyone. They said I act like us having each other isn't a good thing. I told them I would never have chosen this. To have half-siblings coming up that'll be over 20 years younger than me, half-siblings maybe even older than me for all we know, and never knowing if the people I meet could be my half-sibling. I told them I am not our sperm donor and I will not take responsibility for this. They called me an ass and said I should embrace this huge family. Am I the asshole? It is not your responsibility to be the leader of dad's band of kids. You tried to connect with them, which was very generous of you, but they want a dad, need a psychiatrist, and you are neither. Go live your life and be as involved or as little as you want. Your sperm donor is a real piece of work. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.